There comes a point in your life when you must ask yourself how much of your pain is caused not by what happened, but by your need to be understood, liked, accepted, approved. How much of your stress, anxiety, self-doubt, and emotional exhaustion is the direct result of chasing after validation from people who may never truly see you, know you, or love you for who you are? We are taught from the earliest moments to please, to perform, to earn approval, to win affection, to chase gold stars, nods of acceptance, likes, claps, and words like "I'm proud of you," from people who don't even understand the weight of your journey. We internalize the belief that our worth is measured by how others see us. And in doing so, we quietly begin to hand over the most sacred thing we have, our mental health. But the truth is simple, uncomfortable, powerful. Your mental health matters more than their validation. You cannot live a life that belongs to you while constantly performing for the expectations of others. You cannot heal if you're constantly editing yourself to fit the image they want. You cannot thrive while anxiously waiting for someone else to tell you that you're doing okay. You cannot be free while tied to the need for approval. Every time you silence yourself to keep the peace, you disturb your own. Every time you agree to something that hurts you, just to avoid judgment, you betray yourself. Every time you overthink what you said, how you looked, how they might perceive you, you abandon your inner safety. And you don't deserve that. Your peace does not deserve to be sacrificed on the altar of their perception. Your stability does not deserve to be traded for temporary praise. Your mental health is not worth their misunderstanding. What they think of you is not more important than how you speak to yourself. What they expect from you is not more urgent than what your nervous system needs. What they like about you is not more valuable than what feels true to your soul. You can wear the mask and receive applause, but if you're breaking down behind the scenes, is it really worth it? You weren't born to be a puppet, a people pleaser, or a shape shifter. You were born to live freely, boldly, gently, truly. And that kind of life begins with a radical shift. You choose you, not in an arrogant way, not in a selfish way, but in a self-honoring way, in a way that says, my mind, my heart, my energy, they deserve peace more than they deserve popularity. And yes, it's going to feel uncomfortable at first. It's going to feel strange to disappoint people, to say no when you're used to saying yes, to set boundaries when you're used to being available 24/7, to let go of toxic approval cycles when they've become your identity. But hear this, discomfort is not danger. Feeling guilty doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It means you're unlearning the lie that everyone else's needs are more important than your emotional safety. You're unlearning the lie that love is earned through exhaustion. You're unlearning the lie that your value is based on who claps for you. Validation is a shaky foundation. It will always shift. One day they'll love you, the next they won't. You can be someone's hero and villain in the same year. You can be praised in one season and rejected in the next. That's why chasing validation will always leave you empty, because it's never really yours. But peace, healing, sanity, those things live within. They're yours to build, yours to protect. You don't need a permission slip to prioritize your mental health. You don't need approval to say, I need rest, or this relationship is draining me, or I can't do this anymore. Your brain, your body, your spirit, they're trying to tell you the truth. The anxiety is not weakness. The burnout is not failure. The sadness is not drama. It's your inner world begging you to stop living for the outside. What is validation really worth if you feel hollow inside? What is the point of being admired by the world if you're anxious every night? What does it matter if your feed looks great but your heart feels numb? Mental health is not a luxury. It's not optional. It's not something to check in on when it's convenient. It is the foundation of everything else. It affects how you think, how you feel, how you speak to yourself, how you show up in relationships, how you make decisions. You could have all the success in the world, but if your mind is racing, if your chest is tight, if you're constantly second, guessing, if you can't rest, if you can't be alone with your own thoughts without spiraling, then none of it matters. So no, validation is not worth your sanity. Fitting in is not worth your breakdown. Looking like you have it together is not worth crying in silence. Healing requires honesty. It requires saying, I'm not okay, even when they expect you to be. It requires slowing down even when the world says, go faster. It requires letting go of pressure, even when it means disappointing others. You are allowed to put yourself first. You are allowed to take space. You are allowed to stop answering every message. You are allowed to delete that app. You are allowed to unfollow people who trigger your self-doubt. You are allowed to pause, to cry, to sleep, to breathe. You don't have to earn rest. You don't have to prove anything to take care of yourself. You don't have to break down to justify a break. And if they don't understand, let them go. If they call you selfish, let them. If they walk away, bless them. You cannot build a whole life around fragile opinions. Let people misunderstand you. Let them gossip, let them question, let them fall away. You don't need them to understand the peace you're creating. You only need to know that it's real, because validation might feel good, but peace lasts. And when you begin to choose peace, you begin to choose presence. When you choose presence, you choose healing. When you choose healing, you choose life. You will begin to notice a shift. The voices that once drowned you out begin to fade. The anxiety that once gripped your chest begins to loosen. The overthinking that kept you up at night starts to quiet, not because life is perfect, but because you have stopped abandoning yourself. You begin to notice you're breathing differently, speaking differently, choosing differently. You stop asking, will they approve, and start asking, does this feel true to me? That's what happens when you prioritize your mental health. You return to yourself. You begin to trust yourself again. You make space for joy that isn't performative. You create safety within your own skin, and that's when everything begins to align. The right people show up. The wrong ones fall away. The noise dims, the clarity comes, and the validation you once begged for, you no longer need. Because now you validate you. You give yourself the love, the acceptance, the permission that no one else could ever sustainably give. You become your own anchor, your own safe place, your own calm in the storm. You were never meant to live your life trying to be enough for others. You were meant to be at peace with yourself, and that starts the moment you say, my mental health matters more than their validation. Say it again. Say it until it becomes your standard. Say it until you believe it. Say it until it reshapes every decision, every boundary, every relationship. Because when you choose your mental health, you choose life. You choose alignment over applause. You choose healing over hustle. You choose truth over temporary praise. You choose you, and there is nothing more powerful than that. We all want to feel seen. We all want to be appreciated, valued, acknowledged. It's human. But somewhere along the way, what started as a simple need for connection turns into an exhausting pursuit for constant approval. And it's in that pursuit, often silent, often unconscious, that we begin to lose ourselves. Because seeking external validation often comes at the cost of your mental peace, clarity, and authenticity. Think about it. How many times have you said yes when your whole body was screaming no, just to avoid disappointing someone? How many times have you changed your opinion, your style, your tone, your truth, just to be more likable, more digestible, more approved? How often do you walk into a room scanning faces, wondering, do they accept me, before you even ask yourself, do I feel safe here? This constant need for validation begins to chip away at your peace. You become hyper, aware of what others think. You question your every move. You overanalyze conversations. You rehearse responses in your mind. You lose sleep over someone else's perception of you. Your mind becomes noisy, filled not with your voice, but with the imagined voices of everyone you're trying to please. And that kind of noise, it kills your clarity. You can't think straight when you're constantly thinking about being accepted. You can't hear your intuition when your focus is external. You can't evolve into who you're meant to be when you're busy performing for who others want you to be. It's not just peace and clarity that suffer, your authenticity begins to fade too. Because in the race to be liked, you start to abandon the very things that made you you. Your edges get sanded down, your voice gets quieter, your creativity becomes filtered, your joy gets edited to match what's acceptable. And slowly, silently, you start living someone else's version of your life. You wake up one day and realize you don't recognize yourself, not because you changed in a healthy way, but because you shrank to fit a mold someone else created. And that's the real cost of validation. It demands your spirit in exchange for temporary approval. But here's the truth. No matter how hard you try, no matter how perfect you become in their eyes, someone will still find something to dislike. Someone will still misunderstand you. Someone will still question your choices. That's not your fault, it's just human nature. So why give up your peace for something so unstable? Why hand over your clarity to people who haven't walked your path? Why trade your truth for approval that evaporates the moment you stop performing? You weren't born to earn your worth, you were born worthy. You weren't born to twist and mold yourself, you were born to stand in your light. And yes, that light may be too much for some, but it will be just right for the ones who truly see you. Let this be your reminder. Your peace is too precious to sacrifice. Your clarity is too valuable to cloud. And your authenticity, it's your superpower, not something to hide, but something to honor. So let go of the need to be validated by those who don't understand the weight of your silence, the depth of your soul, or the beauty of your becoming. Validation may feel like love, but real love, real peace, begins when you start validating yourself. Somewhere in your life, you were likely taught that taking care of others should come first. That being kind means being available, that being strong means pushing through, staying silent, carrying on even when your heart is breaking, even when your mind is screaming for rest. And so, when you pause, when you say, I need space, when you take a step back from the noise, or when you start choosing peace over people, pleasing, you feel guilty. You wonder, am I being selfish? But let me say this as clearly as I can. Prioritizing your mental health is not selfish. It's survival, strength, and self-respect. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot uplift others while drowning in your own mind. You cannot keep showing up for the world while abandoning yourself. Taking care of your mental health isn't some luxury you only get when everything else is done. It's not something you earn after you've pleased everyone, finished every task, checked every box. It's not a reward, it's a requirement. When you put your mental health first, you're not turning your back on anyone. You're simply choosing not to turn your back on yourself anymore. That's not selfish, that's sacred. Because surviving in a world that constantly pulls your attention outward, that demands your perfection, your performance, your productivity, that minimizes your exhaustion and romanticizes your burnout, takes courage. It takes strength to say, I'm not okay and I'm not ashamed of it. It takes power to rest when the world glorifies hustle. It takes wisdom to listen to your body when everyone else says push through. It takes self-respect to stop sacrificing your sanity for validation, attention, or approval. You respecting your limits does not make you weak. You needing help does not make you broken. You setting boundaries does not make you difficult. It makes you healthy. It makes you honest. It makes you whole, because there's nothing strong about smiling while you're falling apart. There's nothing noble about burning yourself out to be everything for everyone else. There's no glory in losing your mind so someone else can be comfortable. Strength is not how long you can endure pain. Strength is knowing when to step away from it, when to say, this isn't sustainable, when to put your healing first, unapologetically. And it's not always easy. You'll be misunderstood, you'll feel guilty, you'll worry about disappointing people. But what's the alternative? Staying in situations that break you down just to prove you're strong enough to endure them. That's not strength, that's survival mode, and you deserve to live beyond survival. You deserve softness. You deserve safety in your own mind, in your own space, in your own body. You deserve to feel steady, to wake up without dread, to breathe without heaviness, to exist without performing. That starts the moment you decide, I matter too. Not later. Not when it's convenient, not when others approve, but now. So no, it's not selfish to say I need time. It's not selfish to cancel plans because your mental health is declining. It's not selfish to choose solitude over stimulation. It's not selfish to leave environments, jobs, or relationships that consistently harm your peace. It's self-respect. It's saying I will no longer abandon myself to make others more comfortable. It's saying I am allowed to take up space and take care of my mind. Because the truth is, when your mental health suffers, everything suffers. Your relationships, your work, your decisions, your ability to feel joy, to focus, to rest, to simply be. And when your mental health is prioritized, everything begins to align. You gain clarity, you develop stronger boundaries, you attract healthier people, you think more clearly. You begin to recognize your worth without anyone having to tell you. That's what real strength looks like. It's quiet, it's consistent, it's rooted in radical self-awareness. It's not dramatic, it's intentional. So protect your peace, honor your needs, step back if you have to. Say no if you must. Create space for healing. Because your mental health is not a weakness to hide, it's a strength to protect. And you're allowed, fully, completely, and without apology, to put it first. There is a quiet kind of prison we build for ourselves. One without walls, without chains, without bars. It's built out of glances, opinions, assumptions, expectations, other people's voices living rent, free in your mind. It looks like replaying conversations in your head, wondering if you sounded good enough. It looks like guessing a decision because someone else might not agree. It looks like dimming your light because someone once said it was too much. It looks like trying to be all things to all people while secretly forgetting who you are. And that prison, it's called approval addiction. It's subtle, it's sneaky, and it's heavy. Because the truth is, every time you shape yourself to be accepted by others, you lose a piece of your freedom. Every time you ignore your needs to make someone else more comfortable, you hand over a piece of your peace. Every time you hold your truth inside because you're afraid of being judged, you abandon yourself a little more. But there comes a moment, a sacred, life-changing moment, when you realize true freedom begins when you stop needing their approval and start honoring your inner well-being. That's the shift. That's when you stop asking, what will they think? And you start asking, what do I need? That's when you stop waiting for permission to feel good, to heal, to say no, to walk away, and you give it to yourself. Because the need for constant approval is a silent thief. It robs you of your presence. It steals your authenticity. It clouds your intuition. It forces you into roles, versions, and masks that were never meant for you. And the thing about approval, it's fleeting, conditional, always shifting. One day they love you, the next they question you. One moment you're praised, the next you're judged. You will never be able to please everyone, no matter how kind, how perfect, how careful you try to be. So why spend your life trying to meet their standards while your soul whispers for space to breathe? Freedom is not found in their applause, it's found in your alignment. It's not about being liked, it's about being whole. It's not about fitting in, it's about feeling right within. And honoring your inner well-being means learning to pause and listen to what's true for you. Does this environment make me feel safe? Does this friendship support my growth? Am I sacrificing too much of myself just to keep this connection? Is this choice coming from alignment or from fear of rejection? The more you ask these questions, the more you begin to free yourself. You start to see that you don't need approval to take care of your mental health. You don't need permission to protect your peace. You don't owe an explanation for choosing your healing. You stop over-explaining. You stop apologizing for your boundaries. You stop betraying your needs to meet someone else's expectations. And something incredible happens. You begin to feel light. You begin to feel free, not because everyone around you approves, but because you finally do. You start choosing based on your values, not their validation. You start saying no without guilt and yes without fear. You start living for something deeper, something real. And yes, it may feel lonely at first, because the more you honor your well-being, the less you tolerate what once felt normal, the chaos, the noise, the pressure to perform. But that space, that silence, that peace, that's freedom. It's the moment you realize you no longer need to prove anything. You no longer need to chase approval like it's the air you breathe. You've come home to yourself. That's what honoring your inner well-being creates, not a perfect life, not a life without challenge, but a life that finally feels like yours. Because true freedom isn't loud, it's quiet, it's steady. It's found in the simple, grounded knowing that you are enough, even when they don't see it. You are enough, even when they don't clap. You are enough, even when they walk away. You are enough, especially when you choose your peace over their praise. So walk your path, stand in your truth, protect your mind, and let go of the weight of needing to be understood by people who don't even understand themselves. You are not here to live for their approval. You are here to live for your freedom. And it begins the moment you choose your well, being first, fully, and without apology.